afternoon, everybody. My name is Terry Ryan. Welcome to my channel. I dedicate this channel to talking about things of life, what we go through and our little struggles. And I also introduced my book. I'm an author. I wrote this book, I Survived, Domestic Violence and Stalking. I just wanted to tell you about that. The reason for doing this little chat today was I wanted to answer a question which many people keep asking me, and this question comes up time and time again, and people ask me why I wrote the book and how long it took to write it. Everybody seems to be interested about how long it took to write the book, and I just wanted to say that I have no particular length of time it took me to write the book. The book sort of eventuated on its own after quite a period of time. I found that it was a healing process for me, and by writing everything down what happened, it did bring all the hurts up to the surface and help me to heal. And that was the only way that I did heal, by bringing it all out and writing it down and bringing it up to the surface. And after possibly a couple of years, it may not have even been that long, I looked back at what I wrote and I realised how the volume of it, and I thought, gee, there's enough here for a little book to write about domestic violence. And then I got to thinking, I woke up one night after having a dream and realised that, gee, these things that I went through and trying to cope with the suffering and everything that I went through, trying to heal, how many other people out there are going through the exact same thing. And I thought, well, you know, I've learned a lot of things from what I went through, even though I was still suffering the traumatic syndrome stress, the post-traumatic syndrome stress. I realised how much that I'd learned by going through the process, and I decided, oh, well, maybe I should write a book. And don't get me wrong, I never for 1 minute thought I would be rich by writing a book. And if you're thinking about writing a book, it does cost an awful lot amount of money, and unless you are a bestseller like some of the well-known sellers out there, you're not going to be rich writing a book. But what it did do, the main reason I wrote the book was I thought it may help somebody else with the things that I'd learnt, and I wanted to bring something positive out of the negative experience that I went through. Even though I would not like to go through the same thing again, I acknowledge the fact that what I went through was necessary in my case to learn the things that I learnt from it. As being such a very vulnerable person of what I was like a little mouse, couldn't speak up for myself, and I was like a shadow. The former me was like a shadow of myself, and by going through this experience, it was necessary for me to learn all these things. And like I say, even though the experience was an awful thing, it was a great way to write the book and put a positive note on the end of the book. And I listed all the things that I'd learned by going through the process in the back of the book, in the hope that somebody else going through the same thing may wake up and say, well, oh, I am learning some things about it. Like, there were things, I was such an open person, I needed to learn to be closed in myself, more closed, and less trusting of people, and also be careful about the things that I said to people. Quite often in life we tend to say too much about ourselves, and there are many people out there who like to take advantage of your goodness and kindness, and they'll use your words against you and use your words as a con factor so that they can get something from you, or they'll use your words to punish you or persecute you, because a lot of people are good at pretending. A lot of people pretend that they're your friend and they're not. And these are the type of things that I learnt going through the process. I learnt how to make boundaries for myself. One of the greatest things that I learnt was to love myself, and I think this is probably the largest lesson that many people in this world need to learn, to love themselves. So many people do not love themselves. They've been brought up in different ways and they haven't learnt how to put personal boundaries around themselves to protect themselves and to appreciate their own presence and their own life on this world. And this is something that we are learning from the day we are born. As we grow up, we learn the principles that our parents teach us, and then as time goes by, we learn our own likes and our own dislikes. And as time goes by and we get older, sometimes we are disillusioned by our parents, and we may see discrepancies in the things that they believe, because in our own heart and soul we may believe something totally different. And this was the case for me too. You can't ever blame your parents really for the way they treat you, because often they treat you only the way they know. They were brought up a certain way, and so they've got a certain set of principles, and they can only do their best as to their best belief and the best love and the best caring that they can do. That's how they will treat their children. And so therefore that was another lesson I learned. You can't ever blame your parents, because you'll get to a certain age where you have your own mind and you have your own set of principles and beliefs. But as I say, right in this book, as I say, I can't answer it. I know it's been a long answer to a short question. I can't answer of how long it took me to write the book, because I wasn't really aware of time when I was doing it. I was aware of the depth of pain and the depth of suffering and the depth of healing that it was bringing about in me. And after I had written the book and got it all out in paper, and I went through those raw emotions of reliving everything that happened to me, and even though it was painful, it was necessary. And sometimes things that are painful are necessary to develop your own character and develop the inner person for who you really are. And anyway, so the message that I really wanted to get across was the way I healed was getting it out, because you don't realise how your subconscious holds on to things. Maybe you can. I can give you an example of this. How many times have you gone to sleep and you've had a dream and you dreamt that you were in your childhood home? The very first home. You may have lived in like a dozen houses since then, since you went through your life and grown up and everything, but all of a sudden you're having a dream about your childhood home when you was a child. Or you may be dreaming about your children who are now grown up, but you're dreaming about them and you're going through processes of your children when they were tiny little children. And this is your subconscious, the way your subconscious works. Your subconscious holds on to everything, absolutely everything. Your subconscious knows and is conscious about things that you are not in your present consciousness now. So, as I say, you will never heal yourself if you're going through pain and you're going through struggle. You will never ever heal yourself by holding it in. You can't pretend that things haven't happened. You can't pretend that things don't exist, because your conscious will continually bring it up in one way or another. And side effects of the way that your subconscious will deal with things is it will cause other things to numb yourself to that pain. And as I say, with numbing yourself to the pain, it may be a side effect of becoming an alcoholic. It may be a side effect of get in an addiction. You may have an overeating habit. You may get claustrophobia. You may be scared of something, but your subconscious is trying to get through to you that you need to deal with the pain and the incidences that have happened in your past. And until you do deal with these things, you're constantly going to have it dredged up in your face all the time, and you're constantly going to be either medicating yourself with tablets, medicating yourself with alcohol or drugs. It also comes up in other ways, as in mental health issues. It can come out in behaviour issues, and it deals with it. Your own body deals with it when you don't actually deal with the actual root of the problem. It's just like a tree. If you look at a tree and you see the trunk and you see the branches and the leaves, and there's so many different aspects to that tree, but you have no idea the roots that go within. Some of the roots that go within travel out meters and meters and meters, and so is your subconscious. And it's the same with, I don't know how many people have seen the picture of the iceberg, and you see the top of the iceberg and it looks huge, but then they've shown you pictures of the iceberg of what it looks like underneath, and it is like 20 times bigger than what that iceberg is showing on top of the water. So, and such is your subconscious. Your subconscious holds everything of your aspect of life, everything that you've ever known in your past and your future. It knows everything. And it's important that as you have pains and things that you go through, that you bring it to the present and you deal with it. Sometimes you can't deal with it head on. It might be a person who has hurt you in the past. They may have passed away and you can't deal with it. Going directly to them and bringing up the subject. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it may be a parent and you're just not in the position to be able to do it. But you can bring it up and acknowledge that it's happened, acknowledge what has happened, how you felt about it, and what you're going to do about it to heal the situation. And like I say, the way that I did it was by expressing it, by expressing the pain, expressing that I had the pain, not denying that it happened, and realising that it happened for a reason, that these things didn't happen to me just because I was a bad person, because I wasn't a bad person. All I was a woman in love who wanted to have a happy life with a happy family and the happily ever afters. So I did nothing wrong. But I acknowledge now, by looking back and putting all the jigsaw pieces together, and I'm able to look at the whole picture of why it happened, the way it happened, and the good that came out of it and the lessons that I learnt from it. So, and this is why I wrote down what I did, and the book came to be born. And the book I'm talking about, if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen any of my talks before, the book I wrote was I Survived Domestic Violence and Stalking. If you'd like to buy a copy of this little book, I have it in several places. You can either go to my website, which is Terry with an I, TERRI -ryan.com.au. You can either contact me through my Facebook page, which is Terry Ryan Author in Facebook. You can message me there. If you're living in the local area in Heathcote, they are stocked there in Swells, Gifts and Decor in High Street. Also, if you're overseas and you're watching this, I have got stocks in Amazon, and you can go through Amazon in the USA, Canada and Mexico. You can go to any of those sites, or if you know me locally, or you've seen me, or you know of me in my job, you can ask me, as I usually have a stock of books with me. They are $20 each. If you're living in Australia, locally, I can post it to you for an extra $3.45. So once again, hopefully that has answered the question of how long it took to write the book and why I wrote the book. And I hope everybody has a lovely weekend. It's Friday here, Friday afternoon in spring, and I just hope everybody has a lovely day and a lovely week. I can't believe how quick the year is going. We're already into October. Won't be long before it's Christmas. Anyway, that was about all I wanted to say, and thank you for joining me, and please press the subscribe button and the bell button and you won't miss any of my YouTubes. If you're interested to listen to any of them, or you want to make a comment, just pop the comment underneath. You're more than welcome to do that. So bye for now.